Welcome to the Anthony Lee Raw Indicator Suite. Congrats on purchasing your new Raw indicators. In this quick video, I'm going to get out of the way here, and all I'm going to do is walk you through just a little bit of my settings, okay? Feel free to toggle on or off some of the features that we have in each one of these, but I'm going to show you how I have mine set up so that if you want to trade like me or get the indicators or signals that I have, you'll be able to have that. So let me get out of the way and dive on in. If you have any questions, drop them down below or send me a DM. I'll be happy to get back to you. All right, guys. First of all, if you have your indicators, you've come here, you've gotten everything, all the how-to videos are here, okay? You should have gotten an email with a link to each of the videos, but you can always come back to the indicators page on the website and check out the videos. Just click on the YouTube links there. But let's go on over. If you're just getting set up and you have now gotten access, you're going to go to the indicators tab, and you can do this on free TradingView, paid TradingView, tablet, mobile, desktop, whatever. I'm on a desktop, so I'm going to click here on the indicators tab, and it's going to pull this up, and you should now have a section here that says invite only, and you'll click on that, and it will have your scripts here. Now, it'll look like this if I've added you to it. If not, there may be a red lock beside it. But if you've been added, if I've let you know that you've been added and you still see a red lock, then refresh your TradingView and then come back to this. So you can select each one of these and you can favorite them by clicking the star, and you should do that for easy access. That way you don't have to come back here each and every time. It'll just be under your favorites list. So you'll add these. I've already done that for mine. Mine are all already added. And what I'm going to do is start on the Damian indicator. I have Damian Pro. Most of you will not have this version, okay? Most of you will have Damian, which is fine. This is just a little different version that it's a little something extra, let's say. So, but the settings will pretty much be the same. There's just a few extra entry parameters and entry dots that I have added to this that are to my personal trading specifications. It's not to say I don't take regular Damian trades. I do. These are just a little something extra. But I'm going to toggle this on. It's all exactly the same, except I have yellow or gold dots on trades that I would 100% take blindly. Okay, that is not to say I wouldn't take these other trades, because I do. I just would look at them a little bit more. Okay, and they all, as you can see, they all play out pretty well. Anyway. So I'm going to go on over, and here's how I have mine. Yours will not come set up looking like this. Mine is custom set up, and I'm on the Bitcoin 24-hour time frame. So I'm going to click on settings, and I'm going to move this over to the side, okay? I'll move it over to the side, and if you want to screenshot all this, I'm going to kind of slow roll through it and may give it a few talking points here and there. But so yours is going to come set up a little bit differently. Maybe I should have done this to how it comes stock, but whatever. You can figure it out. So I'll show you some things that I've changed. I changed divergence type to regular and hidden. You can choose either or both. If you look at the difference when I toggle on just regular, which is how it comes. It comes like that. So you get some good trades, really good trades. Again, I'm on the 24-hour time frame. You do you. I pretty much only trade the 4-hour and up. 4-hour and daily are my favorites. But I do toggle on regular and hidden so that I can get more trades. Typically, regular is your main divergence, and hidden is usually continuation of the trade. So that would let me know to stay in it. But I like to use Alexander for continuation, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But anyway, so I toggle that on regular and hidden divergence. Some of you may not like that it has the full name of each divergence that is present, so you can turn that off. You can turn it to a first letter or don't show, and then it'll just give you a number. That is how many divergences are present. It doesn't tell you which ones. I don't like this, but if you like it, it's a little more condensed chart. That's fine. I like to show the full indicator names, and mainly because the no name is so similar to Alexander. So let me just show you real quick. Let me go to no name, which if you're not using if I was not using Alexander, I would go right here with don't show, okay? But when I use Alexander, the other premium indicator here, you look how similar it is when I toggle that on. You see that? It looks so similar. I like to differentiate between the two. And now watch when I go back to Damian and put the full name back on. This is how I keep mine. And then I toggle Alexander on. Oops, sorry about that, guys. Then I toggle Alexander on. I can easily differentiate between the two, see? So that's just how I like to do it. You do it however you like to do it, though. All right, so I keep mine like that. And then you can scroll on down, and here are the colors that I have. I've slightly changed my colors. I put positive and negative regular divergence to this more dull green and dull red. And I've made the hiddens the brighter green and brighter red. Just a slight difference there. Scroll on down. A lot of you won't have this confluence dot, the yellow dot, the gold dot confluence. This is for Damian Pro, which currently, as of time of recording, is not available on the website. If you're interested in this, you must DM me directly. This is special. These dots, again, are built specifically to my parameters. I would absolutely take these dots without a second's notice. This is my criteria for trade entry, and I built that around those dots. So we'll click on over to the Style tab up top. And one thing I do, yours is going to come with these lines toggled on, and it looks like that. And I have toggled mine off. That just clutters the chart. It indicates where the divergence is from. So like this point to this point is a divergence. I don't need that. And just let me know the divergence is there. But feel free to play around with this. And I take the inputs and status line. It comes toggled on. I turn that off. And if you see on the list on the left, it just extends it out. Matter of fact, you can do that for all of your indicators. I toggle it off. I don't need to see all this jargon up here. It just clutters up my chart. So I keep it toggled off so that the names are just condensed down. And again, almost every indicator has that feature on it. So that's it for my inputs here on Damian Pro. Feel free to play with yours again. Do it however you want. But this is my settings. All right, let's move on. Let's go look at Alexander. Here's my Alexander. Okay, I toggled Damian off. We got Alexander on, and I don't think I changed anything on Alexander. The only thing, I didn't change anything. Alexander, this is just how it comes, and that's how I do it. So when I have them both on together, they'll look like that. And Alexander, the key point with Alexander, it will only work on the 24-hour and down, okay? It will not work if you have it on the daily, even though 24-hour is the same. The programming in it only works for hourly time frame and down. It'll work on the minutes, 1 minute, 2 minute, 10 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour. It doesn't matter. It just will not work on anything higher. And it doesn't matter which time frame you're viewing on, whether I'm viewing on the 24-hour, the 4-hour, the 12-minute. The signal is going to fire at the exact same time. It is not specific to a particular time frame. It is specific to a parameter, a trading parameter. So it doesn't matter what time frame you're viewing this on. It just has to be 24-hour and down. Let's look at Lionheart. Now, Lionheart, it's going to come looking like this, and here are my settings. The only thing I changed was I turned this off, the inputs in line under style. I toggle that off, and again, that just condenses the name over here in the list, so it's not just all jumbled up. Inputs all that stays the same. Now, if I only have Lionheart, I only use Lionheart on the daily and 2-day for Bitcoin. As of to date, it has a 100% win rate on the daily time frame and has only ever lost one trade on the 2 daily time frame, and that was back in 2018. So those are the only 2 time frames and the only asset that I use this on. Now, some people use it on different time frames and different assets. That I just don't. I do, if Lionheart is the only indicator on my chart, if I just happen to be using that for whatever reason, I leave these lines on because my target line is going to be this green line. So I want to know how far I have to my target. But you could turn them off if it clutters your chart like that. But then you won't know where your exit is. Or you could just turn the green line on. That is always going to be your exit, whether you're coming down to it like this. As soon as you hit it, you're going to get the exit signal. Or coming up to it, you're going to get the exit signal. So I do leave them on. But if I have these other indicators toggled on, Damian and Alexander, I turn them off, turn Lionheart off because it gets a little cluttered. And again, I don't use Lionheart much. What I like to do is set an alert. I mean, I use it all the time. The alert is always on. But I only use it on the daily and 2-day. And if you look, you just don't get that signal very often. I mean, here on the screen, this goes all the way back to the 1st of February. And we've only gotten it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So what is that, about once every 6 weeks or so? So you don't use it very much. So I don't need to leave it toggled on. I just set an alert. And how you set an alert on it, you come over here to the 3 dots and you just add alert. Now, this one's a little tricky. what I want, this one is comprised of the 5 crossing the 13, okay? So it comes like this. Here, pay attention. Here's what you'll have to do. It comes just like this. You'll have to change the alert, put it on whatever time frame you want it on, like I'm on the daily. And then you'll have to change. You leave this the same, Lionheart EMA 5, crossing, and then instead of value, you change that to Lionheart EMA 13, okay? And then you just put it if you want it for life, once, only once. I like mine once per bar, which means every time you get the signal, it fires off. And then you would just create that, okay? And so then I don't have to ever have this on anymore. And I would do the same thing for the 2 daily time frame. And you can change that right here and do a second alert for the 2-day time frame. And then you don't ever have to have Lionheart on. It'll just alert you if you get the signal. And then you can toggle it back on and look at your lines, right, to see where your target's going to be. And you can kind of start preparing to take profit there or do whatever you got to do. So that's how you do that. I forgot to show you how to set alerts on Alexander. Let's go back to Alexander and Damian. So setting alert for Alexander, you're going to, same thing. You're going to go to the 3 dots and add alert on Alexander. And then you have to create one for the buy alert and the sell alert. I put it on whatever time frame you want, as long as it's 24-hour and down. And I always change. I always do a custom message, and I'll do something like Alexander buy signal, and I'll make that for Bitcoin, Alexander buy signal. And you'll just apply that. And you'll have to come back and you'll create that alert, set your parameters, create that alert, and then you'll have to come back in and do it again. Same thing for the sell alert. That way you get it, if you get the sell signal, you get an alert also. On Damian, let's go back to Damian. We didn't go over alerts there. Same thing, 3 dots, you come to add an alert, and on Damian you'll choose what time frame you want it on, of course, and then you'll come down. The condition is Damian. Mine's Damian Pro. Yours may be just Damian. And you'll come down and choose which one you want, and just whichever one you want. Do you want it on the positive regular divergence, negative regular divergence, hidden divergence? I do mine. I do one on positive divergence. That encompasses both regular and hidden, and then I'll set that alert, and then I'll come down and I'll do one on negative divergence detected, and that'll encompass both hidden and regular. Does that make sense? So you have regular, hidden, and then just divergence. When you go with just the regular, the entire divergence. I'm sounding confusing, I know. But when you go to divergence, that's going to cover both the regular and the hidden. And you have to do one for positive and one for negative, okay? And whichever time frame you want it on, of course. So that's how you do that. Bjorn. Let's look at Bjorn down below. Okay, Bjorn down below, it comes like this. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. I lied, guys. I lied. It comes like this. Okay, this is how your Bjorn's going to come set up. So the vertical red and blue lines, I don't like those. Some people do, so I included them in when I created this. It just shows when volatility is at extreme high, you get the red bars, and when it's at extreme low, you get the blue bars, and I just don't need to see that. I mean, if you like that, great, but I toggle that off in the settings. You can come over here, and that is under Style, Extreme High, and Extreme Low. I just toggle that off, and I toggle off this. Do you see the difference in this input line over here on Bjorn right here? When I toggle this inputs line off, it just condenses it down, right? So I toggle that off on every indicator. We discussed that already. All of this I'll leave the same. Let me see. Yeah, I'll leave all of this the same. And you can change your colors. Like if you want the color of your stochastic changes, that's K line. That's the gray line that runs here. I like mine gray, but you could put it, if you want to make it, white or whatever color you want, yellow. I wouldn't go yellow. I wouldn't go any color because your Bjorn line, your volatility line is multicolor and it changes color. So I just like mine with the gray colors. But you do you, whatever you want to do. So let me toggle these back off and I'll show you how to set an alert. Now this is important. So what we want to see, and there's no line here, so I go up top and I set a line, boom, and I set that to 15, okay? And then I lock it in place. All right, so now I just put a line, just a horizontal line like you would on the chart. I put it on here at 15%, and I lock that. I'm going to save that like that, okay? Because what we want, and go watch the Bjorn video, I'm not going to go into it here, but we want volatility expansion. That's where the big moves come, right? You get the bigger moves when volatility comes down to contraction, which means it comes down below 15 and then expands back above. We get the bigger moves. So I want to be watching for that. And then I'm going to set an alert, okay? So you can set an alert on Bjorn. Same thing, come over here to 3 dots. Boom. Add an alert, whatever time frame you want it on. And then it's going to look like this, and you just change your value to 15%, okay, on whatever time frame you want. I like to do mine on for Bitcoin, the daily, and generally, I think I just have the daily and weekly set up. And I keep mine on once per bar. If you do it only once, you're only going to get triggered once. So if it happens today, you're going to get the alert, but you'll never get it again unless you reset this. So I set mine once per bar, so I get it every time, and mine's open-ended, which means that it won't ever expire. So I'll have it forever. But that's how you do it. You just leave everything the same and you just put the value at 15%. And then every time it crosses 15%, and then I like to change my message too so that I know. I always change my message every time, no matter what I'm setting, to whatever I want. That way when it pops up on my phone or on my screen, I know exactly what it is. I don't have to go investigate. So I would change this to something like BTC Daily Bjorn crossing 15%. I would do something like that. That way it's super simple. When it pops up on the screen, I know, because it comes with this whole jumbled whatever. Here's what it comes with. Like who knows what that means? That's just, but that's the way it's written in the programming. But whatever, I just simplify it. You do you, but that's how I do it. But be sure you set it to 15, always at 15%, because you want to know when it crosses 15%. Now, it will signal you when it crosses 15% to the downside, and we don't really care about that. We don't want that. But there's no way to set it only when it crosses to the upside. So you're just going to have to get the alert when it crosses down. And then if nothing else, that lets you know, hey, okay, we're in contraction. Get ready. Because when we come back up, we're going to expect a big move, whether to the upside or the downside, based upon Damian and the direction of stochastic. And go watch those videos for that. But that's how I do it, guys. These are my settings. If you have any questions about this, let me know. And again, fiddle with it. You know, tweak it however you like. You don't have to use it exactly like I do. And again, these are not my strategies. This is not how I would use them to trade. This is just how I set the chart up. Be sure to go watch the other how-to videos for how I would use them in confluence with each other. All right, guys. I'll see you next time.